Yes, that's me coughing over the video. Hello and welcome to the Daily Faded. My name is Hetz. This is where we get faded daily and talk about the news and politics of the day. I hope you'll join me. Have a smoke, have a drink, glass of milk, whatever it is you like. So Joe Biden won the presidential election this weekend. And isn't that a great thing? I mean, it's not necessarily a great thing that Joe Biden won the presidential election. It's a great thing that Donald Trump lost the presidential election. I was pretty excited when the networks called it on Saturday. I guess it's kind of an old-fashioned thing, this notion that you have to wait for the networks to call it. I was pretty sure by Thursday that Biden was going to win. I think a lot of us were. Was it Thursday morning that we woke up and Michigan and Wisconsin had turned? Or was that Wednesday morning? I can't remember. It's all a blur now. It's all a maddening blur. We are going to have to talk about Four Seasons Total Landscaping. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. First, let's talk about COVID-19 and where we're at today. nCoV Live is showing us 51 million plus cases worldwide and 1.2 million deaths worldwide from the coronavirus. $10,421,076 confirmed cases in the United States. That number has just climbed and climbed and climbed, and it's climbing ever faster right now as we had 124,809 new cases today, again, according to nCoV 2019.live, and we had 641 deaths today, bringing us to 244,448 deaths. We will apparently have 400,000 deaths by the beginning of February. That is the current projection. I think it will be higher than that because a lot of times these projections have been under. They have under-projected. And then, of course, we need to check on California, where we're streaming from, at the Daily Faded patio. I'm out in the cold again. It's kind of refreshing to be out here, actually. I'll be back in the so-called studio again for sure. Here in California, we've had 983,000 confirmed cases as we zoom towards a million. 7,363 new cases today. And that number has been going steadily up over the last week. I think it's been an alarming rate of increase over the last week. As a reminder, we were at around 10,000, 11,000 new cases a day when we were in the middle of it in August. Maybe up to 15,000 cases a day. I'm not sure. I don't quite remember. And in California, we've had 18,005 deaths from coronavirus, with 28 deaths in California today. And just to keep us honest, the COVID tracking project, daily update, states reported 1.5 million tests, 119,000 cases, and 59,000 people currently hospitalized with COVID-19. The death toll was 580. And as you can see, every graph is a graph of disaster. That's the daily tests. I guess that's a good graph, although we still don't have enough testing. Daily cases. Can I just, I'm sure you know this already, but I just have to say it. You know, during the campaign, well, for forever, since this pandemic started, since they started doing mass testing, say sometime in June, Trump always brags about how much testing we do and makes it out to be so super important. But what he doesn't understand, what none of them who brag about our testing understand, is that when you've got 10 million cases, you have a hell of a lot more excuse me, community spread than if you have 1 million cases. So when you get up to 10 million cases, you need to be testing an, if not exponential, a significantly larger number of people than the number of people who have tested positive. So we need more tests in order to open up businesses, to open up schools. We need more accurate rapid tests. There's still a lot to do on testing. Here's our daily cases graph, and that is just terrifying to see. The current hospitalized graph, as you can see, we have reached, actually with today, 59,000. We've basically reached the top spot here in July, August, and the top spot here in April, right around 60,000, with 59,000 people currently hospitalized with COVID-19. Within a week, within days, certainly within a week, we will have a new peak on hospitalizations. And the 7-day average is pretty high at 54,628. And of course, our last graph from the COVID tracking project is daily deaths. And Sunday and Monday are slow reporting days for deaths. I'm not sure why, but you know, just the fact that we had, whether it's 119 or 124,000 cases today, that anyway, sorry, a little stoned. Election, moving on from COVID-19. Here's where we're at: 279 electoral votes for Joe Biden, 214 electoral votes for Donald Trump. As I'm sure you know by now, Biden won, and the networks called it for Biden, and the New York Times called it for Biden when it became clear that Donald Trump could not win in Pennsylvania. With 98% of estimated votes reported, Joe Biden has 3,365,338 votes, while Donald Trump has 3,320,235, which is approximately 45,000 vote difference. And I don't know why I zoomed in. I didn't need to do that. And still outstanding is North Carolina, which it looks like Donald Trump will win. Georgia, which it looks like Joe Biden will win. And Arizona, which it also looks like Joe Biden will win. Even though Donald Trump has closed the margin a little bit, Joe Biden is still essentially a half a point ahead of Donald Trump, and 98% has reported. And of course, Alaska is also going to go to Trump. So it looks like it'll be 306 electoral votes for Joe Biden. And then we have craziness to talk about. So I played some of the celebrations and dancing at the head of the live stream. I actually danced in the street with my family. And then I went to a Zoom party hosted by Ben Dixon that was off the hook. That was incredibly fun, a little weird, but incredibly fun. I just sat out in the backyard in my magical glade, smoking and drinking champagne and bopping my head. They had an excellent DJ in this Zoom party. Boy, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Trump was golfing when the word came down. He mad tweeted all weekend. I'm not going to get into his tweets because who the fuck cares? I'm sure there will be Trump tweets in the future. I don't need Trump tweets today. And it's all madness. It's all insanity. These guys are fucking crazy. I saw Vosh, I don't know how to say his name. Vosh. I saw Vosh refer to this as anarcho-Bidenism. That is the new system of government we're going into, anarcho-Bidenism. And I think that's important to remember. If only that was my own, I would have named this episode anarcho-Bidenism. So these people have just been lying their sacks off. Michelle Cinder, I believe PBS, tweeted, RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel, we will not give up on this process until every issue is resolved. Biden has a, quote, slight lead, and with an election, quote, this close, people deserve to know their votes were counted. But it is not close. Biden has 290 electoral college votes, and Trump has 214. And let's not forget, Biden is ahead 5 million votes in the popular vote. 5 million. More than Hillary Clinton. You know who that is close to? That's close to Barack Obama in 2008. This was not a close election. Not a close election. Oliver Darcy, CNN, tweeted, I do not think most people fully appreciate the disinformation campaign taking place right now in right-wing media to delegitimize Biden as president-elect. It has totally saturated coverage. It's everywhere. Look, here's one of the big problems with what's going on right now and what Biden is doing and what people like Kayleigh McEnany and Ronna McDaniel are doing and enabling him, is that they're delegitimizing Trump's presidency the same way they delegitimized Barack Obama with all the birther shit. They're saying they're using mail-in voter fraud as their whatever, as their boogeyman, as their badgerillo. That's not really a word. Anyway, Greg Sargent, political blogger, tweets, it's time for news organizations to cover Trump's current moves as an effort to steal the election. No more euphemisms. That's what they're doing. And no, the fact that it is not going to work doesn't give you an escape clause from describing it clearly and accurately. This situation is most certainly a threat to the Republic, to use hyperbolic language. But that's what they're attempting to do. They're attempting to steal the election. They're attempting to steal the election. Sounds like the Trump campaign and the RNC is asking the Republican legislature in Michigan to throw out the results of the election in Michigan too, because I should have had another tweet in there. They're also trying to get the Republican legislature of Pennsylvania to throw out the results of the Pennsylvania general election and replace them with Republican electors for Trump. This guy tweeted under this, Trump launches multi-pronged coup maneuvers should be the headline. We knew Trump was capable of this. We talked about it for months. We talked about it for years. That rapscallion, Michael Cohen, criminal, toady to Donald Trump, has told us Donald Trump will not go quietly. He won't go at all. He'll do anything he can to hold on to power. Tens of millions of people believe that this election was stolen by the Democrats. And there's no evidence for it. None whatsoever. Soon all of their lawsuits will be thrown out. And what will they do then? I don't know. Attorney General Bill Barr authorized prosecutors to pursue substantial allegations of voting and vote tabulation irregularities prior to the certification of elections, contradicting long-standing practice that keeps DOJ from impacting the results of an election, a memo released by DOJ. Authorized prosecutors to pursue substantial allegations. Where are the substantial allegations? Can you please tell me? Substantial means there is substance to the allegation. That means evidence. Where is the evidence? They have none. At Four Seasons, total landscaping. Make America rake again. Lawn and order. Four Seasons, total landscaping, where Rudy Giuliani, I was going to show this video at the beginning of the live stream where Rudy Giuliani freaked out in reaction to the networks calling the race. But I'm sure you've seen it. And the guy, the witness who spoke at Four Seasons Total Landscaping, is a convicted pedophile. Sexual assault and revealing himself to like a 7-year-old and 11-year-old or some shit like that. A guy from New Jersey who is apparently ever present in New Jersey politics, has run for Senate, has run for Congress, has run for local offices. They all know him. He's a joker. Anyway, and he even worked for Hillary Clinton in 2016. So he's not someone who stands for anything. Well, Four Seasons Total Landscaping was really Donald Trump's last stand. Something to behold. Something to behold. Anyway, I'm going to skip over some stuff and I'm going to go to this. Okay. So this is AOC on Jake Tapper yesterday on State of the Union on CNN on my computer on my live stream beaming to you. Take it away, AOC.
I'm going to play something that Virginia Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger said on a conference call of House Democrats this week that you, I'm sure, heard as it happened live. Take a listen.
We need to not ever use the word socialist or socialism ever again. Because while people think it doesn't matter, it does matter. And we lost good members because of that. If we are classifying Tuesday as a success from a congressional standpoint, we will get torn apart in 2022. And excuse the profanity, that's the reality.
I imagine you disagree with that assessment.
Yeah,
Why
I'd say we
wrong?
disagree with that assessment.
So, first and foremost, I want to acknowledge that first of all, just the really hard fight that a lot of our swing district members had. And it is not to deny that Republicans levied very effective rhetorical attacks against our party. That, I believe, is absolutely true. But I think one of the things that's very important is to realize that very effective Republican attacks are going to happen every cycle. And so the question is, how do we defend ourselves against that? If you look at some of these, some of the arguments that are being advanced, that defund the police hurt, or that arguments about socialism hurt, not a single member of Congress that I'm aware of campaigned on socialism or defunding the police in this general election. And these were largely slogans, or they were demands from activist groups that we saw in the largest uprising in American history around police brutality. And so the question that we have is, how can we build in a more effective democratic operation that is stronger and more resilient to Republican attacks? And I believe that there are many areas that we can point at in centralized democratic operations that are extraordinarily weak. For example, our digital campaigning is very weak. And this is an area where Republicans are actually quite strong. President Trump, he won the 2016 election, as we know, largely on digital organizing and strategy. And I believe that many Republicans were very effective at digital organizing and strategy as well, whereas the Democratic Party is still campaigning largely as though it's 2005. And I know a lot of us don't want to hear this, but 2005 was 15 years ago. So we can do better. And then when we really dig down and refine our operations, we can be more resilient to these strong Republican attacks.
You told the New York.
There you have it, man. AOC knows what she's talking about. This war that has erupted between the left and the right wing of the Democratic Party is kind of absurd. These accusations that progressives somehow cost blue dogs their seats. The blue dogs are the one who didn't run on Medicare for all. The blue dogs are the one who didn't run on the Green New Deal. And they lost. All of the swing seat representatives, Democrats, who supported Medicare for all, won. They all won. And while Joe Biden made endless appeals to Republicans, filled the DNC with Republican speakers, John Kasich, who, along with Jim Clyburn and Rahm Emanuel and on, went out there and dissed progressives on all the news networks all day yesterday, this morning. Yeah, I can't wait to not hear about him anymore either. John Kasich didn't deliver Ohio. What the fuck is John Kasich know? Why does anyone listen to John Kasich? John Kasich poisoned his own citizens with like unlimited fracking. He is seriously anti-choice. He's a deregulating hawk. He agrees with every policy position of Donald Trump, except maybe some foreign policy. And we're supposed to listen to this guy who didn't deliver Republicans because Republicans voted for Trump in higher numbers than they voted for Hillary, than they voted in 2016. So they did all this outreach to Republicans and they got shit for it. They got nothing. Anarcho-Bidenism indeed. On the other hand, Minneapolis, massive turnout. Ilhan Omar had massive turnout. I don't remember, 85%, something like that. And she won in the high 60s, 68% or something like that. But that's a huge turnout. And that helped win Minnesota. Same for Rashida Tlaib. Huge turnout. Helped win Michigan from Detroit. Activist groups, progressive activist groups all over the country turned out the vote. Sunrise Movement turned out the vote, the youth vote. Black Lives Matter turned out the vote, registered voters. Working Families Party. Progressives deserve as much credit as anyone else for helping to get Joe Biden elected. And I challenge these people who are blaming Jim Clyburn blamed defund the police for Jamie Harrison losing against Lindsey Graham. Jamie Harrison doesn't support defund the police. He doesn't support it. So he got shivved by good Republican campaigning, whatever you call it, by vicious attack ads, whatever it is. Jamie Harrison didn't win because he's in South Carolina and because there was massive Republican turnout. That's why Jamie Harrison didn't win. He didn't win because Lindsey Graham called him names. I mean, he didn't lose because Lindsey Graham called him names. Anyway, look, AOC keeps talking about, improving some of these other Democrats' campaigns. I think the best thing that she could do is convince people on how much you can achieve when you don't take corporate PAC money. Because you have to interact with the community in order to do the kinds of fundraising that you need to do to compete when you're not going after corporate PAC money. And, Ilhan Omar had something like 500,000 voter contacts, 200,000 contacts through door knocking. 200,000. And I think the turnout was around 400,000 voters. If the Democrats did that in every district in America, they would turn some red districts. They just would. They just would. Because when you ask people what they want, they're going to say healthcare, education, a well-paying job. Another case in point, Florida voted over a 20-point margin for $15 an hour minimum wage. And yet Trump won it by, I think, 5 points, 4 points. Joe Biden didn't campaign on the $15 an hour minimum wage. How stupid is that? How stupid is that? They overwhelmingly voted for a living wage. Overwhelmingly. And Joe Biden lost. Donald Trump opposes the minimum wage. Those attack ads write themselves, using his own words against him. Political malpractice, I dare say. Well, let me see if I have anything else that I need to hit tonight. Yes, I do. All right. Hold on 1 second. And do. Yeah. I have celebration in my head from seeing people dancing to it all weekend long. Kim Guilfoyle reportedly offered Trump donors lap dances, hot tub parties. Make America great again. I can't say it without coughing up a lung. Oh. This just struck me as too delicious to resist. How big is Kimberly Guilfoyle's unfolding sex and unprofessionalism scandal? GOP donors were apparently offered lap dances and Kimmy G hot tub parties for campaign contributions. I don't know who Kimmy G is. Hamza, do you know who Kimmy G is? Can you tell me who that is, dude? Of the many delicious embarrassments hitting the defeated Trump presidential campaign during this post-election interregnum, a great word, the four-season total landscaping fiasco, the latest COVID-19 outbreak hitting his cabinet and election lawyers, one stands out for how much it will delight the San Francisco political gossip scene. Our old friend and Trump campaign finance chairperson, Kimberly Guilfoyle, who's completed a remarkably bizarre heel turn from her days as spooning on the floor with then-husband Gavin Newsom in 2004 to Fox News host in 2006 to Don Jr.'s post-divorce main squeeze in 2018, is being leveled criticism that she'd underperformed in running the Trump campaign finance apparatus. But what she reportedly offered to perform is making more waves and can't make Don Jr. happy to hear. The East Bay Express unpacks the juicy parts of the Kim Guilfoyle sex talk allegations gleaned from a long-form Politico postmortem that has 6 authors and spoke to 75 different sources. It details the HR nightmares of Guilfoyle's failed fundraising machine, some of which apparently made donors squirm. The best is yet to come. Some donors were horrified by what they described as Guilfoyle's lack of professionalism, Politico reports. She frequently joked about her sex life and at one fundraiser offered a lap dance to the donor who gave the most money. There's more. Per Politico, at an event in Jackson Hole, Wyoming earlier this year, Guilfoyle and the younger Trump joked about how she raised money while in hot tubs. Another attendee presented a slightly different version, saying that whoever in the audience raised the most money would be offered a hot tub party with Guilfoyle. Oh, the best is yet to come. Who does that? Who does that? I mean, these people are so brazen and they're such idiots. They're such idiots. This follows October reporting from the New Yorker that Guilfoyle was secretly forced out at Fox News over sexual harassment claims, which the network secretly settled for nearly $4 million. I won't go on with the rest of the crazy ass details. I don't have any good reason why I just read that. I don't have any sharp or biting commentary. I just think it's funny. I just think it's funny. I'm going to do one more real quick here because I think it's interesting. And I want to talk about it. I actually was surprised by this headline. I was not hip to this jam, but it sounds like it could very well be the real deal. London Breed is on shortlist to take Kamala's Senate seat. The last one was SFist, the SFist. This is also the SFist. I'm glad you don't know who Kimmy G is either, dude. That makes me feel a lot better. All right. I'm looking at the wrong window. Sorry, guys. Gets harder and harder to do the show the longer I go on. London Breed is on the short list to take Kamala's Senate seat. Every time you make an appointment, you make 20 enemies and 1 ingrate. That's the old joke in politics that came up via one political science expert back in August when Senator Kamala Harris was first named to the Biden ticket, and when it became clear there was a good chance Gavin Newsom would need to choose someone to replace her until the next election. Newsom echoed the odiousness of the task when he was asked about it on Election Day last week per NPR. Quote, I mean, honestly, I'm not even exaggerating. There's 100 chores that I'd prefer, Newsom said. I'm not kidding. This is not something that I wish even on my worst enemy, because you create enemies in this process, you know, not just friends. And it's a vexing decision, Newsom added. But the palace intrigue has kicked into high gear as the appointment now needs to be made pretty soon and a shortlist is emerging. As we discussed in August, Newsom has a major balancing act to perform politically and optically, replacing one of only 2 Black women ever to serve in the Senate, and with an opportunity to put a Latinx or LGBTQ person in a California seat as well. With a state with such a high Latinx population, California has never had a Latinx person in the Senate, which would also be a big deal. Now, first off, it should be a Black woman. I'm sorry, swap out a Black woman for a Black woman. It's all well and good. I would love for it to be a Latinx person, but let's try and make that happen in the next election, the next Senate race. I just think, you know, and I think someone like Barbara Lee or Maxine Waters. I think someone like Barbara Lee or Maxine Waters is a really good idea because they're older, they're really experienced legislators, and they may or may not want to run again in the next election, in the special election to replace them. At their age, they may or may not want to run again. Of course, for that reason, they may just want to stay in the House. So, according to ABC7, the names on the list of likelies remains largely the same as 3 months ago, with many betting that Newsom will select a person of color. San Francisco Mayor London Breed is on there, as are Congresswomen Barbara Lee, Katie Porter. Oh my God, Katie Porter would be awesome. She is too white, though. And Karen Bass. Porter, while not a woman of color, has major fundraising chops in her favor, which is important because whoever gets the seat will have to run for it in a special election with some high stakes and a Republican war chest available to their opponent. Katie Porter is such a badass. She is one of the progressives who supports Medicare for all, who won in a swing district last week. Also in the running and rumored to be high on the list is Secretary of State and Newsom pal Alex Padilla, and there's AG Javier Becerra in contention as well, but the Chronicle notes that Becerra, along with Representative Bass, are being talked about for cabinet positions in the Biden administration as well. Politico says that Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf is on the list as well, and so is Long Beach Mayor Robert Garcia, who would tick both the LGBTQ box as well as the Latinx box. And finally, there's Silicon Valley Congressman Ro Khanna and Representative Adam Schiff as possibilities too. Well, this is going to be an interesting one because Gavin Newsom has sometimes done some good things, like putting a moratorium on the death sentence in the state of California. That's a good progressive thing to do. It would be better to eliminate the death sentence, to outlaw it. But here is the problem with the state of California. We are largely progressive, though we didn't vote as progressive as I would like last week, passing Props 15 and 22, which are atrocious. Prop 15 was going to undo the damage of Prop 13 by allowing us to tax commercial businesses more than they were currently being taxed. That did not go through because of corporate propaganda. And similarly on Prop 22, which would have allowed Uber and Lyft drivers to have some rights as workers instead of being exploited by computers. Prop 22 is evil. It's evil. We passed a law to protect these people, and now we're taking that away. Oh, it infuriates me. If you can avoid it, do not use Uber and Lyft. Don't use them. They're evil. They're the worst that capitalism has to offer, or among the worst, up there with Amazon. So anyway, I mean, I really wish it would be Barbara Lee. I don't know anything about London Breed. I'm gonna have to read up on her a little bit. You know, Karen Bass talked nice about Cuba, so I like Karen Bass. And Katie Porter is a badass. Katie Porter is a badass. Watching her in committee hearings, she grills people and she comes prepared. She comes equipped, ready to fight. We're gonna watch some Katie Porter videos. Anyway, all right, guys. I think that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in to my patrons and my viewers. I appreciate you guys. And this was fun. Make sure to hit like and subscribe and notify if you're new to the Daily Faded. Folks, this daily is faded. Good night.